Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 21 Days of Business. If this is the first time you're catching this video series, welcome. My name is Yasmin Salem-Hamden. I'm the founder of coachesandcompany.com. We are your go-to digital destination for all things legal in your entrepreneurial journey. And all through the month of November, we are going to be sharing incredible interviews with guest experts each day, answering your questions as they relate to your business. Today, we're talking about implementing the Profit First method within our business finances as part of our overall profitability strategy. Because if profitability is not top of mind for you, you could be running what might be considered an expensive hobby and not a business. And we certainly do not want that. And joining us today for this discussion is the host of the Bold Money Revolution podcast, Tara Newman. Thank you for joining me, Tara.
Thanks for having me, Yasmin. I'm so excited to be here today talking about money and profit first with your crew.
I am so here for it. I love it. And thank you again. So let's, for those not familiar with you yet, if you would please share a little bit about you and your work.
Yeah, I'm Tara Newman. I'm the CEO and founder of the Bold Leadership Revolution, and I am a business growth and a Profit First certified consultant. And I work with women, small business owners, service-based women who are selling a premium service or program, and they are looking to really create that financial and personal freedom that I think all of us really look for when we strike out and start our own businesses.
Yes, that is, it's music to my ears for sure, because that is part of our ultimate mission, is supporting women in achieving that financial independence through entrepreneurship, and of course, creating a protected and profitable business by having the necessary legal protections in place, which is our jam. So I'm super excited for our conversation today and to talk about using the Profit First method. This is a method I have utilized in my own businesses. And so let's kick things off. If you could share with us what Profit First is, please.
Sure. Profit First is a method that was designed by Mike Michalowicz, the author of the book Profit First. As a matter of fact, I have it right here.
So
if you've seen this book, this is what we're talking about. If you haven't seen this book, you might want to check it out. And really, Mike's mission is to end entrepreneurial poverty, because 83% of small business owners are living paycheck to paycheck. And so what he's wanting to do is to take people from having these cash-eating monsters of a business that you're constantly having to feed the beast more money, to being a money-making machine. And then where I kind of pick up with my work, yes, I want to absolutely help women service providers. I also take it a step further and say, okay, once you've gone from this cash-eating machine to a money-making machine, how do we take the money-making machine and turn it into a wealth creation machine and get it making even more money for you without you having to work so darn hard for it, right? So really looking at how we can use our businesses as, a cash-generating asset that then funds other cash generating assets, whether it's real estate, whether it's index funds, whether it's stocks, and or investing in another business where now we're starting to get that money working for you, where you don't have to be working so hard for it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That's something we are in dire need of as entrepreneurs across the board, because for a lot of us, we've created a job for ourselves, right? So if it's not an expensive hobby, and if you are paying yourself, which I don't know if you have any stats off the top of your head, Tara, as far as like what people are actually paying themselves and what percentage of people are actually paying themselves as entrepreneurs. But I know from personal conversations, I know from personal experience that early on in your entrepreneurial journey, you might not be paying yourself. So we're going to talk about that today as well. How we can make sure we are paying ourselves, how we can make sure we're setting our business up to be profitable. And as you've illustrated, Tara, is taking it to that next level. So having more foresight, right? So we're not just thinking about how can I hit X number of dollars in revenue next month. It's okay, I want to create a system and a foundation within this business that creates consistent dependable income and generates cash that I can next level use to create other wealth generating assets and cash generating assets. So I love it. All right, so please go on.
All right, so Profit First is a really simple, it's actually a very simple system. It winds up, it's simple but not easy, right? Because we all have our stuff around money. We all are coming at money with different perspectives, beliefs, generational stories. We have, money has like every intersection, as far as.
Oh no, hang on. We're getting a little choppy. I think we have some technical issues going on. All right, we're back with Tara. Just a little bit of technical issues, no big deal. We're rocking. Let's go.
We're just gonna have a lot of patience.
We're good.
So it's a simple system, but it's not easy to implement. And so it's basically, ever had like a grandparent or a parent that managed their money using different envelopes, where it's like their income came in and then they split it out for like groceries and entertainment, and like my bubby did this, right? Like, and my dad did this. That's basically Profit First. But what we're doing is we're doing it for business, and we're taking it and creating different bank accounts, and it flows your money in where you have your income coming in, and then you start to split it out by profit, by CEO pay, by taxes, and by expenses. And the beauty of that system is it's really behavioral, and it's meant to prime your brain to take your profit off the top first, then pay yourself, then pay your taxes, and with what you have left over. So it's forcing constraint, like Parkinson's law. That's what you use for business expenses, because so many of us have been taught that you pay your expenses first, that you pay your debts, and so what happens is as business owners, we take on more and more expenses and never prioritize paying ourselves first. So that's really behavioral premise behind Profit First, is really getting business owners to fund the lifestyle and fund the extras. And so I get a lot of questions from people like, why profit? Why do I need profit? Why, like, they understand that they need to pay themselves, but it's like, why the profit piece? And so the difference between profit and paying yourself, as per the Profit First methodology, is that profit is so I get asked a lot of times, like, why profit? And profit is the reward for the business owner for putting in all the effort. It's, half of it is meant to stay in the business as a cash, fund. I call it the self-funded fund. So many of us are funding our own dream. We're funding our own businesses. We don't have angel investors or venture capitalists, or maybe even loans. And if the last year kind of said anything, it's always good to have some cash on hand in case you need it. In case you didn't get the EIDL or PPP, you kind of have your own there. And then the other half of it is to go on vacation, make additional investments,
Enjoy
home improvement projects, right? And that is on top of what you pay yourself. Paying yourself through the business is what funds your everyday lifestyle. And that's kind of how they think about the difference between profit and CEO pay, and why you would need profit. And obviously, you want to be able to not just afford your basic needs, but really have a lifestyle that complements your values and your desires.
Yes, absolutely. And be able to support other causes and organizations that either you personally your values are in alignment with theirs, or your business, your company stands in alignment with those of that organization or that cause, and that you want to support. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah. So profitability, I've been really thinking about this lately, especially in terms of like even capitalism, and how important profitability is, and running a profitable business is to conscious capitalism. And, when an economy becomes recessive, which it's not currently, we actually are in a very good economy, but even when like economy kind of gets wobbly, people look to small business owners to
Mhm.
really bring our economy back, right?
Revive
But
it.
we can only do that if we're profitable.
Yes.
We can only hire people in our businesses, create jobs, hire contractors, or have the income coming in to support other small businesses. And I always
Mhm.
say, like, think broader than the online space. Think about, maybe your local massage therapist, your hairstylist, my kids go to a tutoring center run by a woman, your local business economy as well. But
Mhm.
if we're not paying ourselves and have profit in our business, we can't use that money to stimulate the economy. And like, who are we giving our dollars to? And how is that making the greatest impact? And I think,
Yes.
that needs to be considered as well. And when we have really profitable businesses, we have a lot of leeway and flexibility in our pricing,
Mhm.
the programs that we offer.
Mhm.
Um, if we need to shift and change gears, knowing that we have that income coming in and that we're using it as best as we can does provide a lot of peace of mind and a lot of opportunity for us
Yes.
to create the thing that we want to create. And what I see happening a lot is, people come into small business ownership for two reasons. We talked about them: financial freedom, personal freedom. But what I'm watching happen is people really sacrifice their personal freedom for the financial freedom, or what they think will bring them financial freedom. And
Mhm.
at that point, technically speaking, if we're being very honest, you can reach financial freedom and independence working a job. You can.
Yep.
Your company is going to pay you a great salary, especially today when it's hard to find help and people are leaving their jobs at a rapid rate. My
Mhm.
professional colleagues who are still working in corporate are negotiating salary packages that are tremendous. Um,
Nice.
you know, they give you a 401k. A lot of companies give you a 401k match.
Mhm.
So, creating financial independence requires you to make money, spend your money intentionally, and invest the money that you save. You can do that working a 9 to 5 job. It's
Mhm.
that personal freedom that should actually be valued higher than the financial freedom. But we're the first ones to sacrifice that personal freedom for the potential of
Mhm.
financial freedom.
That's an excellent point you make. And so that's kind of like the concept of you're either creating a very expensive and time consuming, very demanding hobby, or you're creating a very time consuming and demanding job for yourself where everything rides on you. And I mean, I can relate to that so much, in that in my law practice, my routes and options available to me at the beginning of my legal career was I could go down the traditional law practice route and join a law firm and work the 60, 70 hours that they were talking about, which that is just unacceptable to me, but it's a conversation for another day. And of course, that comes with a great salary, it comes with great benefits. But I'm thinking, okay, the money sounds cool, but when am I going to get to enjoy my life? When am I going to even get to enjoy that pay? When am I going to enjoy that financial freedom and financial independence if I am just working around the clock and have to be have to be present, and lacking that personal freedom? And so that other route for me was entrepreneurship, which I think we can all relate to, those moments of sacrificing. And, it requires sacrifice at times, and there are seasons
In the
for
beginning.
that. Yeah, there are
Mhm.
seasons for that, certainly. But, for me, it was a matter of figuring out designing the business that I wanted to be a part of, and figuring out where am I going to be able to provide the most value within this company, and putting in place and recruiting others to provide support in the areas that I did not need to be spending hours in, right? Because those hours, I think there's a direct connection between the number of hours you're having to spend in your business doing business activities and your personal freedom that you're getting to enjoy.
Yeah. And the value of all of those pieces and tasks, because the interesting thing is I know a lot of the people in your community are online business owners, and online business ownership gets sold as, very low entry, right? Like you don't
Yes.
have to make a big investment. It's a low barrier to entry, but it's one of the most expensive business models I've seen when you start to really get into falling into the different marketing tactics and fads and how quick social media can change, and it can get very expensive. And what people don't realize is there's cost and time on both sides. There's
Oh,
cost to making the
100%.
sale, and there's cost and time in delivering the product. And
Absolutely.
not all revenue is created equal. Some revenue is just, quite frankly, more profitable revenue.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I mean, depending on what is required of you once the sale is made, and I think there's this, that's where we start to get into trouble in this online space where, once the sale is made, a service needs to be rendered and people think that their time to shine is during the pre-sale. But in actuality, once the sale is made, that's when you've gotta show up and you've got to deliver, and, do what it is that you conveyed you would be capable of doing. And so all of that is, being able to having a system that generates leads and puts you into contact with or supports you in getting into contact with people that you can help and support, closing those sales and then delivering service successfully and to the satisfaction of your clients. All of that is just necessary in terms of having a profitable bit. Like that's baseline, right? Is proving the concept. It's something in demand. It's something that you can successfully deliver. You're able to support your clients in getting those results. You're consistently having those sales, completing those sales, and then you've got the money in the bank. And so what now? So you're saying we create these different accounts for the profit, for owner's pay or CEO pay, for our expenses, for taxes, which is something that a lot of people, they think once the money hits my bank account, that's all mine. Like we want to be proactive. I'm always preaching about being proactive. And so we want to set aside those taxes. And is that where I know that there's so much that can be done after that. And obviously, as far as like using that to leveraging that rather to create other wealth for yourself, for your family. But for those that are like, okay, I haven't even paid myself yet, what recommendations do you have for those folks that are, I haven't paid myself, I've just been reinvesting in the business?
Yeah. So, I think that the beauty of Profit First is it gives you line of sight. It gives you some peace of mind. But it also, what I find for women specifically does is it gives them a language for money. And it gives them a framework to communicate about money to themselves, to their partner, their life partner around money. And it gives them a framework for how they can start to pay themselves. And I think, what you said is very valid, that in the beginning you were reinvesting into the business in your startup phase, 100%. That's what businesses do. It takes money to invest. You can't cobble together a business based on freebies and free Facebook groups, and things like that. So you need contracts, for example, right? Like you need to probably talk to an accountant. You need
an
to,
accountant,
like,
you need software and different
there's
tools that can,
things like,
that can automate certain aspects of your business. Ways to enhance your client experience, like you might want to decide to invest in that. And there are a number of things for sure. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And so when I first started my business, and I was not new to business, but when I first started my business, I was like, oh, if I were to make $100,000 in my corporate job, that's not the same as $100,000 in revenue in my business.
Oh, no. You know,
No.
actually owning a business is so eye-opening because it made me realize how $100,000 is not that much.
No, it's not a lot of money.
It's really not a lot of money.
So
I
I'll
remember
tell you why
realizing that.
So I'll tell you why it's not a lot of money. According to Profit First, and the if you know anything about Profit First, everybody knows the percentages.
Yes.
And please do not go and apply the percentages in the book straight to your business without any guidance, because you could be applying the wrong percentages, because the percentages in his book are meant for what he calls fiscally elite businesses. You may not be starting there. You may be starting someplace else. And what I love about Mike's philosophy and how he does Profit First is it's all about marginal gains. It's all about slow, incremental. You don't have to be there overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day. Right? And that is so calming.
Yeah.
When you can really be like, okay, I'm gonna
to
slow
rush
down with this. And like, I don't have to be perfect. Like I'm gonna get there. Right. And so in the book, there's percentages. And if you are a fiscally elite business and you're making $100,000 a year, that means you are paying yourself $50,000 a year. It's just not enough. I mean,
it's not.
Maybe if you're single, maybe if you're
like a
you don't
super
have
minimalist,
maybe if you're not living in a high cost area, but like that feels really tight to me.
Yeah.
Even if you have a partner who's making a financial contribution, your expertise and your services, if you're a true expert, somebody who's been doing this a long time, somebody who has honed their craft, someone who has gone to school, right? Someone who continues with their professional development. Your experience should be commanding a higher pay than that, in my opinion.
Yes.
I want better. I want to see better for folks. And so that's a real tight spot. But I think also what Profit First does is I get when you get women and you're like, oh, I'm uncomfortable charging. I feel maybe a little greedy. We tell ourselves some interesting stories, right? When you actually look at, if you're charging $2,000 for something, 1,000 of that is yours. The other 1,000 is going to paying your taxes, is going to pay your expenses, right? You're going to keep half of that. And I always like make a joke, and I'm always like, you're not running off to buy like a Birkin bag. Like every time you sell something, like there's like other things that you need to pay for in your business. It's okay.
For
like,
sure. It's not a pure profit situation.
Right. Like I really do. I think people start to feel like they're somehow like some snake oil salesman when they start to sell, and it feels icky and they're nervous about it. But the reality is things cost money.
Yes. It costs money to sell. It costs money to serve. Yes.
It does.
That's the reality 100%. Of it. And I think some consumers also have the perception that it's pure profit for business owners, but that's just not the case. Regardless of what you're selling, there are costs associated 100%. With doing business.
And when you have that Profit First breakdown, you can confidently communicate the value in what you're charging, because you know where the money is going.
Yes. And it provides you with an objective. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I think there was a slight lag on my part, but I was going to say it provides you with some objectivity in terms of how do I price what I'm providing, by figuring out what my costs of doing business are, and then using that as an anchor in figuring out what you're pricing that offer, depending on a number of factors. It might be a conversation for another day, but that's 100%. Definitely a relevant consideration here.
Yeah. And so the other things around paying yourself, right? So
Mhm,
it gives you a place to start. It gives you an understanding of like how much money, you would have to pay yourself. It
mhm,
gives you a perspective in the sense that in Profit First, it says, okay, like all the things that are in your business that benefit you as a business owner are considered
mhm,
your pay.
mhm.
And I know some accountants get like, that's not accurate, but this isn't about accounting. This is about cash flow management,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, for example, like if you put your car through your business, if you put your cell phone through your
Mhm,
business,
mhm,
those things would go under your CEO pay. And what it does is it helps you communicate. I hear from women all the time, like, my husband wants to know when I'm going to start bringing home money, or like they want to know when my business is going to start paying off,
mhm,
or, um, and the reality is that some of them are actually making money and bringing it home. But because we pay ourselves so differently than maybe our partner in a 9 to 5 job gets paid, it's
mhm,
not realized as income to the family. And so,
mhm,
you know, inside my programs, I give people a breakdown where they can see their total cash compensation that they are taking out of the business so that they can
mhm.
go and say, this is how I'm paying myself. I'm paying for
Yeah.
my car, I'm paying for my cell phone, I'm paying for, maybe there's some rent or something
Mhm,
that's out of the house, and I'm
mhm.
taking home this amount of money. And so it becomes clear exactly how you're benefiting
Yes.
from the business.
Yes. And it makes it clear with certainty that this is not just an expensive hobby.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. So you said you have that in your program. So your main program is the Bold Profit
Academy. Yep. Bold Profit
Academy.
Academy.
Yes.
Yep.
Tell us about that, please.
The Bold Profit Academy is a program that helps women get to about $250,000 in revenue if that's what they want. And the reason why I use that number is to go back to the conversation we were just having about $100,000 a year in revenue isn't that much
Mhm,
based on Profit First. Profit First, the method. If you're bringing in $250,000 in revenue, you can pay yourself, if you choose, 6 figures
mhm,
because it's 50%. So you would be able to pay yourself $125,000 if
mhm,
you choose. And when I say if you choose, is because Profit First is not meant to be rigid in the
mhm,
sense of this is what you have to do. I like to think of it in terms of we're going to use this tool to help you make intentional decisions and choice,
mhm. Yes.
right? And so, that program in there is around how do we help you get your business beyond that $100,000 mark,
Mhm,
give you the information you need to make these choices, and show you the most profitable growth strategies to use in terms of generating leads, converting leads, what are the most profitable um, programs and services that you can offer without over delivering, because so many women are burning
mhm,
out from
mhm,
over delivering and under earning.
mhm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
you know, we do the math around what it looks like to increase your price because we make a whole big story out of this. And I'm really big on, can we do the math before we talk about mindset? Can I
Mhm,
show you the numbers and see if seeing something in black and white changes the way you're thinking about something? It might not. And then we can have that conversation, but it might.
yeah.
Right. And so, what does that look like in terms of math? And then
Mm,
once you're making this money, how do we use it? Because that's what I hear from so many women is like, I don't know what to do with my money. And it's, coming up with like the how to pay yourself, making sure you're putting money aside for your taxes, or that we've, helped you pay back taxes that you might owe. And
mhm,
then how do you make the smartest decisions about growing your business? What is really going to be worth that investment and how is that going to pay you back?
Okay, so one thing that you mentioned, and I absolutely so appreciate, this is that instead of starting out with mindset, which I'm not here to knock mindset, it's foundational as well, but let's get some clarity on like, what's the reality here? What is the actual state of affairs? And look at these numbers, because you might be thinking as the business owner, like, oh my gosh, my business is a mess. We're not profitable. My expenses are out of control. I cannot, there's no way I can pay myself right now. But when you sit down and really look at the actual numbers, maybe the reality is like you could have been paying yourself, or you are actually profitable, or you've got these unnecessary expenses that you can slash, or maybe you have room for additional expenses and other ways that you could potentially invest at this stage of your business. So I just want to highlight that. So good.
Yeah, listen, I'm a huge fan of things like law of attraction and manifesting. It's super fun. Um, and mindset, my background is in organizational psychology and organizational development. I am a behaviorist at my core. And all of those things are in the mix. But how many times have we worked to feel good about our money, but it never actually equated to money in the bank account, right?
Yeah.
And your feelings and your emotions are valid. We are human beings, but they're also not fact.
Yes. You can say that again.
And
Absolutely.
and I'm here to hold space for both of that. That's why I do the math first, and then I'm like, okay, how do you feel about
Yeah.
that now? Do we still need to
Yeah.
have this conversation? But
And if we do, we'll have it.
right.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I think that's such an important thing to address. Was there something else you wanted to add to that?
Nope, that's good. No.
I so appreciate you, Tara. And I think that this method, profit first, the concept of profitability, having that at the forefront of our minds and of our overall intentions for our business and plans for our business, definitely a game changer, certainly necessary. And I am sure that so many of our listeners are going to find this useful. Tara has I know you have a tool that you want to share with us, and we're going to link to it. What is that called?
Yes. So I have a tool called the Revenue Goal Calculator. And what this does is, we're in a noisy time, right? There's like a lot of input and there's a lot of like 7-figure this and 8-figure that. And listen, I'm here for it. Like, it's great. Let's normalize women having money. But sometimes it could become a distraction, and sometimes it can cause overwork. So what I really want to do is help people understand, like, what is the purpose of their money? Let's give your dollars a job and use that to create your revenue goals. So what the revenue goal calculator does is it has you put in your expenses, your personal financial responsibilities, and then it tells you how much you need to pay yourself. So if you're like, how much do I even need to pay myself in my business? This is going to help you do that. And it's going to be based on fact, right? Not like pie in the sky, maybe big dreams, but not in reality. And again, I'm here for the big dreams, but I want to make them reality, right? So this kind of starts to make them reality. And then what it does is it reverse engineers then what you need to bring in revenue in your business, how much of that revenue is going to go to taxes, how much of that revenue should go to expenses. So how much you get to invest and spend on your business. It's going to tell you based on how much money you need to earn. And the calculator is, it's in Excel. It comes with a 15-minute training. And you can then go, okay, these are my basic expenses, but like, what if I really want that luxury lifestyle? Like, what if I really want to swing for the fences? Plug those numbers in. How does that shift what you need to bring in your business? But I'm going to tell you, shockingly enough, and I get a lot of flack for this around like people being like, are you having a limited mindset? I don't know, maybe, but I actually think I'm just being realistic. When you do the numbers around profit first, $250,000 in revenue is a real sweet spot. So, if you're somebody who wants to make great money and or wants to hit a certain benchmark starting out, but has kids and has a life and has things going on, if you can get yourself to that $250,000 mark, you're paying yourself 6 figures, you're taking profit from the business, you have money to hire help, And
Yeah.
you can then decide whether or not you want more. But let's first have you get enough
Yes.
before
Let's
we
first meet
start.
those needs.
Let's meet those needs, and then we can decide about more than enough. Like,
Mhm.
like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like, let's
Yes.
get so the needs handled in order before we go
Yeah.
to this place of self-actualization and like super pie in the sky dreams. Because I really think that sometimes having such a huge goal that doesn't feel tangible and grounded is actually stopping people from having the money they need today.
Mhm. I mean, and it's easy to see how that is, how people are coming into that experience and into those thoughts, because there's this picture painted in so many different marketing messages as far as like jumping from A to Z, from a $0 in annual revenue to 1 million plus in annual revenue, and that's just not realistic for most people. And I appreciate you saying, like, you might think one response to your stance is like, oh, you're limiting yourself, or that's limiting belief. And I always say, I'm like, am I being a pessimist, or am I being realistic? Or am I being limited in my mindset, or am I being realistic? And that differs for everyone. But realistically, to go from $0 in annual revenue to $1 million plus in annual revenue, yeah, that can do more harm than good in terms of your entrepreneurial journey.
Plus, if you do the math based on profit first, you don't wind up taking home that much more because your expenses go up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And these
So
are,
yeah. So it becomes like, here's the thing, at $250,000, I want you to make a choice. That's it. Right? Like, it's not about limited mindset or not. It's about empowerment, and it's about discernment, and it's about saying, okay, I got here. And if I get to this next point, then I can have the thing that I'm, that financial independence requires me to make more in my business, but it might not.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I am here for the financial independence. I'm here for the personal freedom even more. And I think they do go hand in hand. I think it's easy for us to get, it can be easy for us to get distracted by all of these different things, and everybody has their take on how to get to that point. But there are fundamental requirements to building that sustainable business, and a business that, there might be some people out here hitting that, 7 figures. But I want to also say, the expenses, that's the behind the scenes that people don't share. There are a lot of people out here talking about build the 7-figure business, build the 6-figure, whatever it might be. I've done it myself. And okay, maybe you have done it yourself. But how much did it cost you to get to that point? How much of that 7 figures was actual profit, if any? Right? That matters. And if you are considering working with somebody to support you in your business and to help you grow your business and enhance your business, these are the kinds of questions you should be asking them if their marketing is centered on build an X number of dollars business or achieve X number of dollars in revenue. I've done it myself. Okay, so if you've done it yourself, what percentage of that was actual profit? What percentage of that was your take home? What were you actually taking home? What percentage of that was advertising or expenses, period, to get a clear idea, an accurate idea of the type of business they have experience in building, and if that is in alignment with the type of path that you seek to take in your business. And I am just so appreciative of you, Tara, for joining me for this conversation, for sharing your knowledge. And if you are interested in learning more about Tara and her work and connecting with her, we're going to have all of her information in the show notes and the description of wherever you're watching, listening, or reading this interview. And again, thank you, Tara, for being here and for being you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.